Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video, the final video in the Heroes Jubilee 33 normal battles, this time using a magic water team, if you have it. Disclaimers, just get them done. Your results may vary, because I have different units and different traits and all of that jazzy jazz, so just use this video as an example, and you gotta pull what you can from your own box. Disclaimer number 2 is these are the units I use for protection gauge, and I think that's it, because I don't think I use the skill points, but I'll put them up anyways, here you go. And disclaimer number 3 is please don't forget to optimize your water magic building in town, because you are nuking with a water character, and you want that water character to have the maximum amount of stats possible. But let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so while recording this video, I was told about this team from one of the sweats, and I was told to use it, and it would do both damage cap and turn bonus, so we're going to do this team first. So I know the next clip with like the Shinsho Wielder of Magic team says it's the first team. It's not the first team, obviously. But we're going to use the Visions of Coleus team with World of Fantasy Milim, because she is Octagram Demon Lord, and she does get the 12% attack stack from Lumi, because she's giving it to Octagram Demon Lord. Otherwise, we're just using the Visions of Coleus team here. Coleus Rimuru, Blanc, Guy for the orb change and the crit buff. Fount of Wisdom Rimuru for his physical buff. So in 5 turns, we should be able, if we're lucky, to get an EX ult for Milim and be able to use all 3 of the big time buffs, as long as we use the Milim crit and attack buff beforehand and save it. That's the only way, because we're going to be capped out at 250, and these 3 buffs need 240. So let's go ahead and jump into this run. I've technically already swapped some units around, sorry, but I forgot to hit the record button. It is what it is. Just know that you have to bring Milim and Rimuru in on turn 1, take out Coleus, Rimuru, and Guy, and we have the traits here to give us 1 stack of Lumi, and then we'll bring Guy in for this really good orb change for him. Your RNG for this, I mean, needs to be pretty good, but we do have 3 orb changers on the team, so it's not as bad as some other teams might be. You just need to get a lot of Milim orbs, and we need to have a good turn for the Coleus Rimuru's Rainbow Unity orbs to come in, and that's pretty much how we're going to get the EX ult for Milim, which is going to be right here. So we have 4 Milim orbs. We have, a decent orb change with Guy, so he's going to change 2 greens and 1 of those oranges. All of them are Milim orbs, which means that we can do the orb change, and then bring in Coleus Rimuru and Rainbow, all but 1 of the oranges. That's still going to be able to be, comboed. So this is the EX ult for Milim. Pretty important you get it on this turn, going into turn 4, because you need to have her EX ult, use her own buff, and then send her away, and then bring her back in on turn 5, which is the important thing, because that's how you're going to have enough points to use all of the buffs that this team has to offer. So Fount of Wisdom Rimuru comes in, and then we'll go ahead and send all of these. There's the EX ult, max points, another stack of Lumi, looking pretty good. We are sending Milim last, and everybody is ungeared except for Milim and her support, because we don't want to do too much damage, because 4 of the units would be getting stacks of the attack, if not 5. I don't remember if Fount of Wisdom Rimuru is on Octagram Demon Lord or not. Looks like he is. So yeah, everybody's getting more and more dangerous here. So we use the alt swap ability. We're going to bring Guy in for his orb change, and by doing this now, before sending Milim away, we're still getting extra, 3% crit damage for every skill we use, so we want to use as many as possible before using her attack buff and sending her away. So now we've done everything, 30% attack, 40% crit damage, and now it's very important that she goes away for Coleus Rimuru, because he's the only person on this team that doesn't have a buff that we have to use on the nuke turn. And it's important that we have an orb for him on turn 5. So if you do all of this and he doesn't have an orb on turn 5, you're shit out of luck. But it does work out for us, because we have 2 orbs for him. So here, on turn 5, we have 2 more stacks of Lumi. We have 250 points, which, we have enough to use all 3 of the big time buffs. So Milim will come in. She has the Pierce debuff on, which doesn't matter because we're not piercing with this team. So we'll use the Blanc buff, so that's Weakness Strike and Synergy Resistance down. We've got Guy for the alt damage and guaranteed crits. And then Fount of Wisdom Rimuru will come in and we will give Milim the physical buff and the physical debuff, alongside 2 more stacks of Lumi, which is another 24% attack. So with this, everything running perfectly and having, a protector on turn 2 and, from all your traits, this can hit damage cap and it can hit the turn bonus as well. So we're going to send 1 Rimuru Orb just to get him a little bit lower, which kind of works. But Milim does 1.4 million by herself, and that is damage cap. So there we go, turn 5, 1.47 million. And there we go, 87,530. The only way to make this better is to take less damage, mostly from the poison stacks that he puts on. If you can dodge all 3, you're going to be in pretty good business, but even dodging 2 of them would make your score look a lot better. But there we go. Thank you, TMFM, for the team suggestion. But now let's move on to the Wielder of Magic team. Alright, the first team is going to be the Wielder of Magic team with Water Shinsha as our nuker. This is the same team we used for last Jubilee's Normal Battle 2. It will run the same way, where we just want to get an EX ult with Shinsha, put the big time Violet ult buff on and send her away, and get enough points to use the hero buff and the Hinata buff on turn 5 for max points, right? Because we want to do 1.4 million damage, that's the damage cap, and you also want to nuke on turn 5 for max turn bonus. You can certainly not go to turn 5 and go to turn 6, and he will lose all his defenses, and it'll be easier to kill him and do damage cap, but you'll lose turn bonus. So, I mean, that's the thing. We can almost do it with this team, but we gotta find the right run. So here, I think, is where we're going to start up. Eventually, game. Thank you. Sometimes OBS is finicky. Anyways, we don't have an orb changer for turn 1, so we're just going to send the 4 greens, but we're going to bring Shinsha and Hinata in, because Hinata has Water Shion for protection gauge, and Shinsha, she's our nuker. So we're going to send Shinsha first, though, because she does a lot of damage, because she's type advantage, and this Centipede is not quite as tanky as I would like it to be. But here on turn 2, we get an okay hand for orbs. Not the greatest thing in the world, but, I mean, what do I do here? I think I just send the blues. That'll give us a Milim gauge right there. Kind of a waste. If we'd had like a good orb change with Violet, that would have been even better, because it would have given us extra gauge and like 2 Milim protectors, but it's fine. We're going to use the future hand of oranges here, and then we're going to bring in the hero and use the rewind, and then we're going to bring Ranga in for the hero, and then we're going to use his skill point gain and pierce power buff after we use Milim for that 6 hand of oranges. And this will give us very close to a Shinsha ult, but also it will have the future hand of incoming oranges, and that hopefully will treat us very well and give us a good hand, or the EX ult for Shinsha, which we actually do get her ult here, which is good. But we need to make sure we get like 3 orbs for her, I think, next turn. That's what we need. On the rewind, do we get 3 here? We get 2. Well, I think that's still enough. Yeah, I think that's still enough. So here, we don't really use anything. We're capped on points, but we need to save up because we need to use the Violet buff next turn. We do get the Shinsha ult off these 2, which is fine. We also get the EX ult with Violet, which, I mean, is cool. Not that we can use it or anything. But there's, pierce damage. We've done a lot, but now we have the EX buff. We do have a pierce rate down debuff on Shinsha, which is unfortunate, but nothing I could really do because we needed the EX ult here. So we've used the magic buff. We're going to swap both of them away, because we're going to swap actually Ranga and Shinsha away because they do extra damage because they're on the category, while Violet is not. I'm just trying to figure out who is going to get what orb here. But Shinsha definitely has to go, and now we just need to build up enough points to have enough to use the Hinata buff, the hero buff, and Shinsha's own attack buff. So that's 40 plus, so that's 95 plus another 25. So we need 100 points, or roughly close to it, and a Milim gauge, which we do have a Milim. We almost have 2. So here, we have to get Shinsha out because we're holding on to that magic buff. But we're going to use one Milim here, turn that blue, and then when we swap Shinsha away, after using the water buff, then we'll bring in that other orange, and we can send these 5 oranges. That'll give us another gauge, plus enough points now, to where we can just use the Shinsha buff and the hero crit, and we'll have enough points for all of that going into this final turn on turn 5. So again, you don't have to nuke on turn 5 if you are more comfortable nuking on turn 6, because you know things didn't work out. You can certainly do that. Just know that you won't get max turn bonus, like what the sweaty tryhards are trying to get. But there's the crit buff. Here's the pierce buff on Shinsha, and then we can use Shinsha's EX alt buff and attack buff, 49% on there from sending all the oranges, and then we'll just send the alt, and we do 1.1 million damage with a final score of 81,849. So not bad. Not bad. It's not the best thing, right? We need 1.4 million. Turn bonus is maxed out though, so that's pretty good. Let's move on to my other team, which actually got me a higher score than this, even though we nuked on turn 6. Alright, not everybody is going to be able to use this team, because the Konosuba collab is never coming back, probably. But if you have access to it, you can get a pretty good score here. We've got Protector Rimuru, we've got Summer Shizu, we brought Violet again, we brought Water Shuna, and then Aqua and Cosma. Aqua is going to be our nuker here today. The Pierce power, her alt rush ability. The Cosma has the attack buff and the defense down. The alt buff and water resistance down on Shuna. The magic buff from Violet. And the alt swap and the 2-turn weakness buff from Shizu. So if everything goes right for you, you can use all of these buffs by turn 6 and nuke at full power. So let me go find that clip really fast. 5, 3, 2, 1. Alright, here I think we should be ready to go. You do need a good amount of RNG for this to work though, because again, we don't have a good turn 1, right? We don't have an orb changer for that, so we still have to send the 4 greens. But because we have a unit who can alt rush, and we've guaranteed that Aqua has the highest attack because no one else has gear, it's very easy to get her EX alt by like turn 4-ish. Because you want to have turn 4, you want to have an EX alt, and you want to have enough points to be able to get a full hand of blues and use the Shizu buff. So right here, turn 2, 1 orb change plus the alt rush, perfect. That's pretty much what you're looking for, is 1 orb change on turn 2, and then use a part of the alt rush. Because you're also putting a pierce resistance down debuff on the Centipede, which will make nuking easier. We're also sending Aqua last because I want to do as much damage, because with this team, where we're not getting that extra 60% damage increase from the Protector, he's tankier, so you can safely send Aqua Orbs last for maximum power. But here, we have the Aqua ult already, 2 stacks of Rimuru, we brought Summer Shizu, so we have an alt swap ability here, and then we can just use either Cosma's Orb Change or Violet's, doesn't really matter. I think we use Cosma's because it's less, it's more dedicated, and Violet's is a really good orb change that I don't want to have be too expensive. Yeah, so I switch over. So there's the orb change. We're going to bring Summer Shizu in now for Violet, yeah. And then we'll use the alt swap because we have just enough points for it. And then Shizu comes out for Shuna. And we're still sending all of these water orbs for super weak point damage. And we're going to lower him down, slowly but surely. And because he's not as tanky, we can actually send these and not have to worry too much. Unless he doesn't guard. Then we might have problems. There's the Pierce debuff. Unfortunate, but we still make up for it. So we got another really, really good orb change. Like, I wasn't kidding when I say that you need really good RNG for this team to work efficiently. But orb change, another alt rush for Aqua, gets her almost there. But with the alt swap here, with Shizu, we will get her EX alt. So now, we're on turn 4, and we're going to be able to swap the alt away, and next turn, we can use the weakness strike with Shizu, because it lasts for 2 turns, and we're going to nuke on turn 6, obviously, because we're not quite ready to do it on turn 5. And I honestly don't think we would do good damage on turn 5, with his defense still high. But here, the EX alt is here. Awesome. We have we have the ability to orb change all of this, thankfully. But more importantly, we have enough points to orb change and use that weakness buff with Shizu. So here, we're going to use the Shizu buff, send Aqua away, and then we're going to full-on orb change with Violet and Cosma. And that'll get us another 6-handed blue, which will make it so we have just enough points to full nuke on turn 6. So, weakness buff, and then Aqua goes away for somebody, doesn't matter, both of them are coming in. We're probably going to take Shuna away, because she's also going to have that weakness strike, and I don't want her doing extra damage, because that would mean bad things if we accidentally killed here, because he didn't guard or something. But Violet Orb change, Cosmo Orb change, we're going to get 293 points off this or something, or well, 230 because we're capped out, but just enough to lower him down. 200% Orb from Cosma, doesn't do that much. But now on turn 6, his defense is gone, and we have 300 points, which means we have enough to use all of the other buffs, which is pretty significant. So we've already used Shizu, so she can be swapped out freely. We'll use the magic buff, the pierce buff, the attack and defense buff and debuff, and then we'll bring in Water Shuna, and we'll be 5 points over what we need here, with another stack of Rimuru to really cap it off. So here, I sent, I think, 1 Shuna Orb, but I probably could have gotten away with 2, but I didn't want to accidentally kill it, because this is the first run that actually worked out. So I have, 2 orbs queued up for Shuna, but I go back on it and I just do 1, because I really didn't want to mess this up, because we weren't going to get good RNG like this again. Oh, we sent 2. We could have sent 3 then, but 1.3 million damage right there. Sorry, my memory was wrong. We sent 2 instead of 3, because we had another Shuna Orb we could have sent. But 1.38 million, not quite damage cap, and not turn bonus score, but we did more overall damage, and I think we took less damage overall, and that actually gave us an extra couple hundred points on our previous score. So that is my current high score right here, is 85,023 with the Konosuba team. So it can work. Let's move on. Alright, the final team we have to offer is a sad Water 2.0 team. Swimsuit Milim, Shuna, Shion, and the Hinata that came with them, who's not in a swimsuit. We have Albus for the green orb changing. If you don't have Albus, you could bring Cosma, you could bring the Water Reamer that came out with them, but you do even less damage. You just need a green orb changer, and preferably one that also has a support buff as well, but you don't need to have it, because if you're running this team, you're pretty much resonated to not getting max bonus, right? The hero is here also for the rewind, to capitalize on just getting more stacks of Water Milim. I mean, this team was really good when it came out in the summer of 2022. It was our second stacking team, but the first one that actually gave us like the proper 100% up to 500% on blues and 40 skill point cap, because we had Space Veldora doing that, but he only gave 50% up to 250 on any orb, and not just specifically blues. It was kind of weird. It made him less good, because the blues are giving you less points, but you're trying to get more stacks of him because he's doing space. It was weird. I mean, it was an interesting concept for the half anniversary when it came out. But here, again, we don't have an orb changer for turn 1, so we're just sending things willy-nilly as is, praying for a good hand on turn 2, which we do get. And because we have 2 orb changers here, we can, make it work. We don't need EX ults with this team, so that's nice. So as soon as you get the Hinata ult, you can use her buff and send her away, and just bring her in for the extra stacks. Now, again, if you want to nuke on turn 5, you certainly can, but with this team, I highly recommend you just go till turn 6, and just try and do as much damage as possible, and just take the turn bonus point deduction, because you're already not going to do too much. So why make it any worse on yourself? So 2 stacks of Milim right here. We have another okay orb change. I guess I would say okay. But we're going to rewind here, actually. And we're going to, I believe, send the Shion orbs, because I just want those out of here. And we're going to pray that we can get something nice. Yeah, no, we're not gonna send the Hinata orbs. We're going to rethink that. Like a smart person. Like a smart person, there we go. The Shion orbs. Get that orange out, and then maybe have, blues come in, and then we can just use 1 orb change next turn. And let's see how that plays out. Yeah, it didn't play out very well. But we have 5 Hinatas, which is going to give us her ult. So, I mean, that's the trade-off, I guess. So we have her ult now, and then we can just use her attack and crit damage buff early, and then send her away. You could also use her crit seal, because it does have an extra 5% ult damage on it that you can stack up. You can use it a few times here and there. We have another stack of Milim because of the traits on turn 4, which is nice. And then we have a good orb change right here. So the attack buff will get 1 stack of the ult damage, or not. Why didn't I not use that? No, okay, never. We go back and use it. There we go. Alright, so now she comes out, we'll bring in Albus, and we'll use her orb change. And we probably bring in Shuna too, just for more damage versus Albus. Yeah, okay, so there we go. So we'll just start sending just a bunch of water orbs, and we'll just try and get as many stacks as possible. Again, we're not looking to nuke on turn 5, so we have 1 more turn to build up and try and get another full hand of blues to get, what, like 3 more stacks or so. Doesn't quite work out the way I want it to, though. So, in a perfect world, I would use Shuna's orb change. It would change the 2 hero orbs, and then we could bring Hinata in for her last orange, but unfortunately RNG doesn't like to play that nicely. So we're gonna try an orb change here, and we get 1 of the hero orbs. So we just kind of take it. We don't need that many points, honestly, on this team because it's not stocked full of 80 point skills. It's an 80 and some 55s here and there. But there's a water stack. And then we'll bring Albus in and change the 2 greens. And then that gives us 5, which is still enough points to nuke here. Like, even if we're missing 1 of the blues. It's just that we're not going to get 2 stacks of Milim here, unfortunately. We're only going to get 1. But his defenses will be leaving, and then we can nuke at full cost here and not have to worry about it. We just don't do incredible amounts of damage either. So the ult buff plus the water resistance down. Awesome. We can now swap out Shuna for Hinata, and then we can use the Albus buff, the hero buff, and then 1 of Shion's skills, because the hero's crit and crit resistance down is more powerful than Shion's other skill, which is guaranteed crit and like 10% magic attack or something for, I think that's her other skill next to the water. So yeah, the hero skill in this scenario right here is better to be used than the other Shion skill. And then we'll put 1 more stack of Milim on, and we'll go ahead and nuke away. And I think we send 1... Do we send 1 orb here? We might. Yeah, one Shion orb, and we could have sent 2. And Hinata does 507. It's not bad. We actually naturally pierce. No, we didn't naturally pierce. We had pierce from Alice. Never mind. What am I talking about? If we had naturally synergy, that'd be funny. But 586k, 52.4 is not the highest score in the world, but if you're using the water team, then you're just doing it to get a score. But that's going to do it for Normal Battle 3. Hopefully this video helped you out. Let me know in the comments if it did, and if you have any other team suggestions that people can use if they don't have, these 4 to pick from. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.